Hello and welcome to this session of an expert's guide to the iCEV platform. My name is Kaylee Shannon and I am a content developer here at iCEV. So to get started, I wanted to provide an overview of where we're going in the session. First, we're going to learn about the iCEV platform and how to navigate it through all the different tools and content we have to offer. And once we've established that and become experts using the platform, we'll talk about peer-to-peer interactions and how we can implement those using iCEV platform. And then lastly, I'll give you an extra credit assignment should you want to take what we've learned in this session and apply it in your own teaching and content through the iCEV platform. So to begin, we'll start on the iCEV site. And if you want to also open this along with me, so we can have an interactive component, that way you can click along with me. And hopefully these things can help answer any questions that you've had since using iCEV, or if you're new to the platform. So if you haven't set up your courses yet, this is where we're going to start. So once you get access to iCEV, you're going to see this page. Mine may look a little different since I do have access to all of our content, but we'll get more into that as we get more through the platform. So you'll want to start by setting up your course. Then it will take you to our playlist, and you'll just choose whichever applies to you, whichever courses you are teaching. I'm going to choose professional communication. And up here, you'll want to name this. You can name it whatever makes the most sense to you, whatever class period you teach that course, or since I'm going to pretend that I teach multiple courses in professional communication, I'll just call it ProCom. And then once we've named it, we'll come up here and click Add Course. And as you can see, it has populated up here, and you can repeat the process as many times as you want for the content that you need or the playlist that you select. So once you are done, you may click Finished. And then here is the next page you will see, and it will list all of your courses. So this button here is going to allow you to add more courses or certification as you move along. So we'll click View so I can show you all the things that happen within our playlist. So if you want to, for an analogy's sake, if you want to look at the playlist as kind of like a textbook, once you open that, the lessons are going to be like all the different chapters you have access to and all the different content. So that is what all of these are, and you may choose whichever one suits your needs, your student needs. But before we get into the lessons, I wanted to point out this section over here under students. This is likely where you will start. You'll want to invite your students to your class. So if we click that, we are able to see, we can give our students this link here where they will register for the iCEV platform, and then you have your own unique code that only your students will have access to. And so then once they go through this process, they'll be able to have see the platform. And then you'll be able to manage your roster. You can see which students have registered and which ones have not, and see all of your students begin to populate once you send out that link. Additionally, here, once students start taking or doing assignments, their grades will appear here in the course grades report. I also wanted to point out here over on the settings, with all of our lessons assessments and activities, and even the assessment answers, you can hide all of these things or let your students see all of them. That's up to you. Additionally, the same can be applied to the instructional materials in your PowerPoint and video. So customize this as you see fit for your students and what you want them to be able to have access to. Just to give you a preview of what is inside these lessons, I'll go to this public speaking basics lesson. So each iCEV lesson is either going to be a PowerPoint or a video. And so this lesson just happens to be a video. So you can share this with your classroom, and each video may have several different segments just to kind of break up the class. And so they're not watching a whole 50 long video for one class. We kind of break it up to make it more manageable and obtainable for students to gather the content. So once you're inside here, you'll be able to see all of the content pieces that go along with the lesson. You'll have your instructional materials in here. You'll just see all the different activities and projects that students complete throughout the lesson. And even up here at the very top, you'll see view lesson plan. And so what this does is it provides the whole overview of this lesson and how it's intended or can be planned to use in the classroom. So you'll see the horizontal alignments and how each day is broken up and how the content can be used each day. So the lesson plan really just provides you with a bunch of logistics of the lesson. Whereas if you see on here, you'll have your action plan, and that's specifically the breakdown of the days of content that we've put together for your convenience. So your action plan is just going to give you basically a play-by-play of how the content is divided up among different teaching days. So again, this is all customizable to you and your students' needs. So you can let them see as much or as little as you want them to see over here just by simply checking or unchecking these boxes. And then you will see here the interactive assignments. So these are, again, customizable. You can deactivate this, meaning students won't have access to the content past a certain date. Or you can, again, share with your classroom. You can allow students to see feedback, show the correct answers after submission. And then again, if you want them to have access to this, that's up to you. And then attempt threshold, that would be if you want to allow them to have multiple attempts at this vocabulary or any other assessment. Or if you don't want them, if they only want one attempt, then you don't have to put anything here. So it is pretty intuitive. Once you get into it, everything on the iCEV platform can be customized to your needs and how you think your students will best receive content. And to that note, we can use this, you can customize your course. So you can take out or remove any lessons that you don't think are applicable to the class that you're teaching. Again, or you can add to your lessons. And if you do remove something, it can be, you can search again for it and add it back. So again, use the platform to you and your students' needs. Further, we can use this create assessment to create our own quizzes or tests or whatever based on the content. So you can select whatever lessons you like to pull questions from. I won't go through this too much, but you can make your own quizzes and tests, and then you can even create your own questions once you get past this step. So this is the iCEV platform in a nutshell. I wanted to just hopefully give you some clarity on where things are located and what the different tools do. And since we've established this, I wanted to get back into talking about peer-to-peer interaction. So once you've established or you have a good foundation of navigating the iCEV platform, one thing that has been shown to have a great effect on students' learning experiences is peer-to-peer interaction. So that's going to be anything that students do with their classmates and them sharing information and learning from each other. So what peer-to-peer interactions can do, it helps with your learning outcomes or objectives that you have. It helps students retain information. It helps build their confidence in what they are learning. And it helps with their social skills because they're learning from each other. They're learning about different communication styles, listening to their peers, and just learning from a different perspective. And we can talk about Bloom's taxonomy and how this, the taxonomy helps with students learning both your learning outcomes and theirs. So peer-to-peer interactions really do help with the bottom two criteria of Bloom's taxonomy, which would be remember and understand. So obviously these build the foundation of students learning content. And so once students are able to understand and remember, then they can have more confidence moving through the higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So peer-to-peer interactions really help with students being able to ask questions, feeling like they're not going to be judged for information that they may not know. And they're able to recall information as you get deeper into the content because they've had this opportunity to ask questions in a judgment-free zone. So peer-to-peer interactions are really great at the beginning of learning new content and further when it doesn't affect their grades as much. So if you want to know how to integrate peer-to-peer learning experience into your own classroom or even with the iCEV platform, first, I highly encourage using the platform, getting familiar with it, knowing everything that we have to offer. If you've noticed, whenever I was going through the platform at the beginning of this, we have opportunities at the top of the page for you to set up a training session or even ask questions live with one of our customer service people. So those are great outlets for you to learn about the familiar or become familiar with the platform. I then suggest integrating peer-to-peer learning experiences at the beginning of a lesson or when you introduce new content to students. This, again, they may ask questions to their peers that they feel more comfortable than asking the professor or their teacher. And also some students may pick up on things that the others don't. So it's a good way to fill in gaps of knowledge in the content that they are receiving. Additionally, having a lower grade impact is recommended because students, if they don't want to worry about the pulling the weight of other students who may not participate in peer-to-peer interactions. So if there's less impact on the grade, it's likely to be more effective in learning content, I'm sorry. And then once again, I really do stress the idea of customizing your courses. So integrate peer-to-peer whenever you think is necessary and whenever your students may be struggling with something. Including these types of interactions may help with ambiguity and clarity that they aren't getting the content. So customize your own classroom, of course, using iCEV, but customize our content to what you need it for and what your students need it for. So my extra credit assignment for you would be to take one of our assignments, activities, or projects, um, or anything on our platform and customize it to your students' needs. So um, take something that already exists and make it your own. One of the examples I thought of, I found a activity where students would have to come up with interview questions and base that on a face-to-face interview. However, as we know, even with this virtual conference, a lot of things change and even interviews were conducted virtually. So another way to kind of customize that, if I were teaching this, would maybe be to include some element of virtual interviewing, because that may happen to students whenever they leave the classroom and they're ready to go on the job market. They may have to interview virtually. So again, take what we have, customize it to your students' needs. And I offer this opportunity to you to not only understand our platform, but then use this extra credit opportunity to create peer-to-peer interactions where you think your students need help or where that you think they need new content. So just to recap this lesson or this session, we discussed the iCEV platform and did a very brief tour of it. We talked about peer-to-peer interactions and how to integrate those into your own classrooms. And then I challenged you with some extra credit in customizing one of our existing content pieces to your own student needs. So should you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them if you hopefully join us in the Q&A session right after this. Again, my name is Kaylee Shannon. I'm a content developer here, and my contact information, email is listed below. Thank you so much for participating in this, and I hope to see you in the Q&A.